Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It's a Friday evening with us here on Sip and Chat, talking about all things relationships, all things life. Um, yeah, it's just all things. So as you can see, it is Daryl and I rocking it out. So since it's Daryl and I rocking that out, I guess I gotta have a PG-13 type beverage, maybe. I don't know. How you do? Oh, here we go. What? Look at here. Looky here. Look at here.
Hey guys.
Hey, Doc. How are you?
Doc,
Hey, I'm okay.
hey.
I'm not staying on. I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody and
Okay.
say thank you for all
Hey,
the
how we doing?
condolences and the prayers and the sends of hugs and kisses. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm not up for it
I
tonight.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
Gotcha,
But I
gotcha.
wanted to come on and say hey.
Well, hey, girl.
Hey, back.
What you sipping on, girl? I can at least know that.
Nothing just yet, but it looks like it's gonna be a Jose night.
Okay, Jose. I used to be friends with Jose, so yes, enjoy.
Yes,
Enjoy.
yes, yes. Yeah, me and him gonna be friends this evening.
Okay. Well, it's good to see your face. Good to hear your
Same
voice.
here, guys. Same here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right. Check it.
Okay, be well.
Thank you.
All right, so we was checking in with you before we had our lovely presence of the doc. How you living? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It seems like it was such a long time ago since we spoke last.
It does, and it was only 1 week.
It was only it was a tough 2 weeks almost. It was tough.
It's a lot that always happens though, because the world doesn't give us a chill on just
Absolutely.
every day-to-day situations, which makes this conversation that we're going to have tonight so interesting because there is no chill.
None. Zero.
Yeah, so I guess we, do our normal format in regards to current events and what you got.
I've been really paying attention to the Karens and Kens. It seems like everyday attack on minorities, black, brown, Asian. It seems they have no fear. They're
Right.
walking right up to people and questioning them. I mean, I had my own incident Saturday where a woman approached us and asked us, "Were we supposed to be somewhere?"
Oh,
Now I have no rap for them, so I don't like. I'm like, get away from me.
right,
I'm a grown man. Don't ask it. I'm not gonna, dignify that with a response. Like, what are you doing? Gives you the right to
right.
question me.
If I'm
And
supposed
I
to
think
be
that
here,
'cause we were at in a neighborhood that we were helping someone move, and we were taking some stuff to the trash, and she just questioned me about throwing stuff in the trash. I'm like, please, is that what we're doing here?
right,
You're on trash patrol. This bag is that big of a deal. Like, get out of here. Um, but it's just amazing how there's 4 or 5 a day. You see it everywhere, and the scary part is they know that the police will come to their aid. It seems like time and time again. Very rarely you'll see somewhere the police will respond, which I feel the way they should, but a lot of times they're not. From the videos we see time and time again, and it's scary because a lot of times you see the minorities are not even fighting back. People are spitting in their face. People are holding them places, not letting them leave because they believe they did something and they have the right to keep you somewhere. Um,
right.
and we don't fight back because the fear of, when the police come up, if we do something, we're going to be judged differently. So it's really some crazy times, man. This is getting worse and worse.
Indeed. Indeed. And it made, as you were saying that, it made me think about, I think, a video that you actually shared on your timeline about the family in TJ Maxx, Marshalls.
Yes.
Like,
So embarrassing.
they spent $300 in that store, which is a lot of merchandise because of the way the price ranges go in that type of store. And I don't know, it made me just think about, like, okay, what really is your intention? And then whoever it was that called, why couldn't they come and participate in the conversation?
Well, remember with that story, when they said it was a black male called, I don't know who identifies them on the phone. Like, I'm a black male, I'm calling to report these people. When they talked to the manager there, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
There was no black male even there. So,
Right.
But with that, what I thought about was, you know what, you got to be careful now, because they cannot ring something up, call the cops, say you stole something, and then something's not on your receipt, and who are they going to believe?
Right.
And in that case, because I know they had an argument about something, she's like, yo, you can look at the, you rung it up. Everything was on here. And she's like, it's not on here. I don't know what came of that, but I'm thinking these people can definitely do some weird stuff and not ring something up, and you will be at fault because it's in your bag and it's not on the receipt.
And I couldn't help but think, like, I think I watched the video twice. Actually, I know I watched it twice. And it made me remember the store Filene's Basement?
Yes.
Like, so Filene's Basement, I'm going to say it had to be middle 90s or whatever. And I was looking for like a work bag that had like a couple bags on the inside of it. And the way that the store at Filene's Basement is kind of like TJ Maxx and Marshalls, where sometimes that stuff is just all thrown in there together, and you assume that items are supposed to be a part of whatever, if they have the same, material, whatever, like, you don't know what is supposed to be there or not. And I had spent probably over $200 in Filene's Basement. And they followed me out the store and into the next store and asked me to return with a police escort. And we weren't as vigilant then about racial situations as we are now. But looking at that TJ Maxx thing reminded me of this experience where I was like, okay, why would I spend $200 and not $7 for this additional bag that's in there? I don't know that it's an additional bag because the bag had multiple things on the inside of it. Like, really, we really having this conversation?
Like, I was $7 short, so I'm just gonna steal it after the $200.
After the $200, which is how so it was like I was really connected with the family. Like, okay, we spent $300 in this store, and really, like what we saying here? And to follow me not through the mall to the next store, like, so I'm going to spend more money.
And they want to embarrass you, it seems like.
Right.
Walk you through the mall with the police escort and all that. It's crazy.
Right.
And I know I don't want anything to do with it due to, I want to question me, just leave me alone. That's all I want. I don't want no Karens. You see one fell out in the store after she tried to attack the woman, then she's gonna fall out.
Stop recording me. Stop recording me. I was like, are you serious? And then the cops entertained her when they finally showed up, but didn't entertain the woman who was recording, who had been attacked on several occasions. Hey, Trish, you got to get permission so we can rock you out right. So, hey, Trish.
Yeah. It was like, oh, we can't make her leave the mall. What? We don't have the right. She attacked me. Like, what are we doing here? She literally came after me. I had to run from her. Why does she not have to leave the mall? I'm confused. And again, and if we change it a little bit and have a black male attacking a white woman, chasing around the store, we know what's going to happen. Or we have a black female chasing a white woman around the store, we know it's going to happen.
Right.
So it's really just, it's bananas. It's
And
really
then I got
bananas.
the image from listening to the woman that she also was in guard. So I know that that's like a whole nother layer of
Oh,
projected
okay.
thought process, believing that you're going to be unsafe with anybody who identifies or fellowships, in that, that practice of life being. And I'm like, this
Gotcha.
is really wild.
But my question is, do they feel unsafe? Because they are running up on people.
They
I don't
feel
know how many people.
protected.
I think they use that as they know they have that big joke in their pocket. When the police come, they can use their white frailty when it's convenient. But I don't see them being afraid of anything, because they run up on people. They're in your face, and then the tears come when the cops come, or when the people come. Oh, like exactly what you did. You're going to attack me, and then the next minute you're on the ground having a nervous breakdown. I'm confused.
Right.
And then you're up again screaming, get away from me, stop recording. Like, come on. Like,
and I'm like, the recording she's recording my meltdown. So can you tell us why you're having a meltdown? Like, I'm not.
Hello.
I'm not understanding.
Hello.
You chasing me in the store. Why are you having a meltdown that impacts me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, first, the woman was taping her, but how do you know what I'm doing on my phone? My phone is up. I could be looking at the video. My phone is up. I could be doing anything. You're like, you're taping me. Well, okay, and so is the store. You're on the store. You're being recorded in the store because they have cameras. So,
right.
At that point, just leave the store. Leave the store.
Right. They always appear to have cameras that don't work, or they're not on in situations.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then they got all of the data when they need it.
Yeah. So it's really crazy, and I just think that at this point, it's funny. I'm preparing myself for Karen or Ken to approach me, so I could try to keep my calm, because I know I'm like, get away from me, and I don't have any talk for you. And if you touch me, then we have a problem. I think a lot of times we do way too much explaining. We're talking to them. We're giving credence to whatever they're saying. We're like, oh, you stole my phone. I didn't steal your phone. Hey, I'm gonna keep walking. You stole I'm gonna keep walking. And if you grab me, you're gonna lose that finger. I'm telling you, I'm gonna try to break all your fingers on your hand, and as soon as you touch me, because I don't have time to entertain the nonsense. How you feel is not my concern, especially if I know I didn't do anything.
Right.
I'm just trying to get somewhere, and I'm not trying to waste my time to explain to you why I didn't do whatever you think I did because you felt I did something I did. Nah, we're good. I'm not.
That whole confusion that you went through, is a whole bunch.
Yeah, whatever you're going through, that's on you. Don't bring me into your nonsense, your delusions. It wasn't me. Or even the one in Mount Laurel where the guy invited the whole New Jersey to his house. And they obliged, but he's arguing with the guy and spits in his face and all that type of stuff. I don't know. I'm not built for someone to spit in my face, because they were like, "Oh, he handled it correctly." I don't think he did. I don't think he did. I don't think so. Let's not make that. I mean, I just can't have spit on me and just we're gonna keep arguing. We're not doing it. And that's why I said I don't want to deal with the argument. I'm going to keep it moving, because once you do something like that, then, we have to deal with it a whole different way, because I'm not going to spit on me. That's just disgusting. I'm sorry.
And people would start the conversation at the fact that somebody spit on you, but truthfully, the conversation starts way before then.
Yes.
It's first of all, we have to exist in a space of, we don't have to. We have chosen to exist in a space of defensiveness or reactiveness, because we just never know what moment is going to be challenging for us, or that somebody's going to come and approach us, ask us why we taking trash out of a house just because they ain't never seen us before. The things that seem so natural to them is really, really weird. just really were unique. Let me say unique, because their whole thought process is that it's the correct thing to do to think the way that they think.
Absolutely. And I mean, the entitlement, they feel like they have the right to question you.
Mm-hmm.
The right to question you. You need to answer why you're here, what you're doing, if you did this, that, or the next. And that's why I don't got time for it, because please, I don't have to answer to you at all. We're not doing that.
Right. And so it's like in the essence of not doing that, brings to the forefront of, are we really rebelling, or are we really just advocating for what's right?
I think we're just advocating for what's right. I think that we've been doing things the white way, their way, so long that it almost became normal. So we were whitewashed, and we it's normal for them to question us, and we're like, oh yes, we did such a. No, that's not. It's not normal, and we should be able to say, if someone's coming up to you talking crazy, why would you entertain a crazy person? That's what it sounds like. Someone's coming up to you saying you did something that you know you didn't do. Why are you entertaining that? Keep it moving.
So does it come,
we need to stop it.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking, does it come for the fact that we feel responsible, is the word I'm going to use, to give them an answer to their question that comes from somewhere? Like, we've been raised that when people ask us a question, especially certain people of a certain persuasion, that they have leadership over us for some reason, that we're supposed to answer their question, and that's the right thing to do. Like, that's the right reaction, behavior, whatever thing to do. So yeah, it's like that, it's ingrained in us. It's a part of our programming and
Absolutely.
Our download, and generation upon generation, we've just repeated what the download says.
Absolutely. Became a learned innate. We just innately now just respond to their questioning.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to.
And they just put so many things in place to make applications, make participation, make our interests seem so privileged, or that we're not supposed to be there. But there's so many ways that they identify us before we even walk in the door, and we don't have any control over that.
Well, and then it's reinforced, because when the police do come and they side with the other person, that's just reinforcing they have the right to do that. When they look at us and tell us, when we know we did nothing wrong, to leave or to quiet down or calm down, they're not even sympathetic to what we went through. Then we start learning that, oh, they must have been right.
Right.
Or they must have been white. Right. I mean, I'll just get this too quick. So, so it gets tough, and I get upset when I see, people not defending themselves. Like there was one man who playing basketball with his cousin and brother, and they were cussing outside. The neighbor heard him cussing, came over with a belt, then proceeded to grab the young man, throw him up against the garage, was beating him and everything. The mom comes out screaming, calls the cops. Now, this guy was charged with many things as, I think, even child endangerment, which was good. He definitely was charged. But just the entitlement for him to come over and put his hands on some of his children. And the 15-year-old said, listen, I played football. I could have defended myself, but I didn't want to get in trouble. His mentality was like, I have to take this because if the police come, they may look at me as the aggressor. So I can't really defend myself.
Right. And automatically look at you as the aggressor.
Absolutely. And then our teens are looked at as older, mature, more developed than a 15-year-old white, Caucasian.
Right. Our body structures are different.
So even if they're not, they're viewed that way. We're just looked at as bigger, more mature, and it's funny because in this situation, the 15-year-old was acting bigger than the Caucasian guy. He was definitely taller than him. He wasn't, he was still a child, but he was a little taller. This guy was very short anyway. I think that had something to do with him trying to come over and mess with some kids. But it's just crazy that he would do that someone would feel okay. It's their job to discipline some else's children.
Right. Because of words that came out their mouth. Like, how are those words really impacting or influencing you? Like you never hear them on a movie. Absolutely. Like your favorite movie, I'm sure there was a word or two that was colorful on, in your cookout, it was some colorful words that was shared. So why is it that this time we hear it that is, so challenging? But we could really probably match that to the same thing as far as our reaction and response to situations too. Like we may pass by reacting or responding to several things and say that third or fourth time might get the brunt of all the times that we didn't respond, including the fact that you're saying something to me now. Like, I'm just about tired of ... So I don't know. It can get real tricky.
Woo! What are we talking about tonight?
What we talking about is race and relationships. Like, how does race impact and influence relationships? Like, what's the myths? What's the perspectives? What's some of the influencers that cause us to live in certain spaces or respect and or not respect protocol that actually happens? So, and I think this came from a space of, in the green room conversations that I guess I should have added on there, like colorism and how does that live? Like, how does that also play a part? So it was like multi-layers, but essentially the construct of race, the construct of relationships, when there's multiple ethnicities or like mixed relationships as far as cultural backgrounds. But then, the colorism aspect, like how does that play out in our relationships? That was a lot.
It was.
Yes.
And so the colorism part, and I was just thinking about that. I think today it's different. Because I see a lot more dark-skinned girls on shows, on TV, dark-skinned girls that are, that have that mark as beautiful, like which it was before. You had the really, I remember growing up, the really, really light-skinned girls were the more, they were beautiful. They're the ones you wanted, right under white, lighter than that paper bag.
Right. Or the fact that there is an actual paper bag test.
Yes, right. But I see today, because I know a lot more, you see a lot more dark, especially for me growing up dark skinned too. Because the first issues I had with any type of isms was colorism. And my grandma was very, very racist. Well, colorist.
Colorist, right.
Colorist to darker skinned people, which is crazy because she was my complexion. It could be twins.
But it could be that
she really didn't like herself.
Right.
Oh, that's what it was. She didn't like herself. And she really, put that on all her children, and to the point separating the light skinned and dark skinned ones. The light skinned ones, they were definitely, they got more, they did more. She showed them more, they showed them love, period. The darker ones, she didn't. She really didn't care for us too much. And it was really crazy growing up because I had to learn to love myself because, your family is where you kind of get some of your identity from how they treat you and things of that nature. And she, made my skin feel like it was a terrible thing. So definitely for me, the lighter the better when I was growing up. I wanted something that didn't look like me, kind of like she did. She had all light-skinned, men, like almost white men. So the same thing for me. I was, the lighter the better. And it was weird because it didn't matter how they looked, right? As long as they were light, they were fine.
Right.
she's dope. She's light.
They'll get approved.
She might absolutely. So it wasn't that she was attractive. She was attractive only because she was light. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And it took me a while to learn to myself, who this jump on here. So yeah.
Hello, Camp.
Yeah, how are you doing? Hey, Camp. Where the cake at?
The cake. I don't eat
For the
cake.
birthday.
Oh, I'll buy something to send y'all a piece of something, but I don't eat cake. You know.
We just trying to celebrate your birthday. That's all. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We seen you celebrating all over the internet.
What?
We seen you celebrating all over the internet.
Yeah. I seen her cake at the beach.
That was a camera dump.
Oh yeah, I do have more pics, but I don't know if they're appropriate, but I don't know how appropriate. So I try to keep it light. I'm just saying, I have way more pictures that were really nice, but yeah. How are y'all doing?
Nice.
We are good.
Doing well.
Good. Just jumping into the conversation here, and sharing our experiences with the colorism aspect of the conversation and how that influences or what our experiences have been. And Daryl was talking about his grandmother.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
The colorist grandmother.
Yes.
She didn't like herself. She didn't. She really didn't. It was sad. But again, the effect it had on me was, for a while was tough. Because anything light was right. Light was right.
Was your grandmother
the lighter the better.
Same complexion as him.
Same complexion as me.
Okay.
Yeah, same look. Absolutely. And just, I guess you can't see yourself unless you walk by a mirror. So I only imagine she looked to herself, or maybe she did the same thing did, like I said, I didn't really like my skin and I thought being dark was not good. So I balanced it out by liking the latest thing possible. Not necessarily white. It wasn't that, but it was lighter skinned black women. It was crazy. So I had to really learn to love myself and, know that and then there was no representation on TV really either. We had some dark-skinned men. It was a couple out there. You got like the Denzels and a couple, but for the most part, it wasn't, that wasn't the, you didn't see a lot of dark-skinned men that were out there. So you didn't have really any representation to go by. So you really hadn't to go off of. So, like I said, I just for a while just felt bad until I was able to learn to kind of, love myself and know that I'm beautiful. And then get out of the mode of thinking light is right. The next change, because you had to see beauty in black women, the dark skinned women, now I had that type of mind. It's weird, now I have that mindset because I've learned it. You don't realize that you learn that thing I hated, I was doing. I was not looking at dark women. I just wasn't really, it was that light skin, that's just what it was. So all the time. But it everything, luckily for me, I was able to grow out of it. But I still have friends that still, through colonization, still think that light is right. They still are, they want that straight hair. Give me that perm. They don't, especially now with this natural revolution, everybody natural, some people are not on that. And I remember I wasn't on it. I remember I wasn't on it either. I remember one girl, she was trying to be natural. I'm like, can you straighten that? I want to see that. Like, what? Where are we going with you like that? No, we're not.
Oh my gosh.
And when I say I learned so much from her because she was so destroyed, she's like, do you know a black woman's hair is everything? I did.
For a crown. Right.
And yeah. And I learned so much. So, and even now my daughter with her nice curly hair, which I love now. At one point, I just wasn't about that curly life at all.
Well,
Gotta have just me or something to help that out. We can.
but I will say, when you talk about the hair and all of that, I'm real old school. I have an old soul. So I just remember my first interaction was watching Spike Lee's School Days, about the paper bag. You know, they had the sororities and fraternities. I was young, but all of BT, all of the soap operas. I was allowed to watch stuff I don't think I should have been allowed to watch, but I was sitting there right with my mother, so she was into movies and stuff. So I would watch even A Different World. I would watch all of it. So, you know, introducing the paper bag, the brown paper bag, like the that you put your lunch in, and you holding it up to your face, just seeing that in the movie. But I think by seeing that, it turned me, like, my family is a melting pot, so I think it turned from the wide, like, the spectrum of what I was attracted to or what I saw as beautiful. I saw everything beautiful. However, even when the interaction between the characters about the hair, one sorority had the straight hair, then the other one was natural, and they were saying their hair was nappy, or they could say it was it looked like sticks, just like the whole movie.
Jigaboo, looking for
Yeah,
something to do.
the whole song
The
it's School Days.
Right. Better than me.
It's tons of colorism in there, and then
tons of hints.
Yeah.
So then my second time really experiencing colorism, because I dated people who were light skinned, who was Mexican, who was white, but particularly I dated somebody just in high school, towards the end of high school. He was really dark skinned, like dark chocolate, and I loved his color. But I remember my mom saying, like, she knew him for years. We had been friends for years. She knew him. My family knew him. I remember her saying, he can't come into my house. I said, why? He can't come into the house to say, like, to greet everybody, say hello? She goes, no. She said, why would you go out on a date with somebody that dark? And I'm looking at her like, I'm the lightest. I'm one of the lightest, like, brown skin in my immediate family. And I'm thinking in my head, my daddy darker than me, you darker than me, and you talking about why I'm dating somebody dark. I would think you would want, because she didn't. So it was like, why would you date? Can't you date somebody that's not from over the border? You know, in Mexico, can't you date somebody? So I'm like, what is it? Is it? But it was really about a color thing, and I didn't really realize it. To me, it was nothing. That was like the major second time. That was like a Debbie Downer, because I was like, you don't want me dating somebody that's dark or darker than us? Like, that's crazy. Be black.
Right. Right.
And it was just like, it sat with me, like. So after that, I started to date people who were a little lighter skin, or who were white.
Gotcha.
At first I contributed to it going into college. At first I contributed to it. That was what I lived on the side of town where that was what was available. A few black guys, but white. So dated a bunch of white people, but I still had, deep in my heart, I still had love for dark or light skin color black men, like for us. So it took me a couple of years to get out of that, because it was just like, it was a hit to my self-esteem. Because if you telling me that you won't accept somebody that I date that's darker than me just based on the color of their skin,
like not the person from the inside out,
and this is somebody she knew was comfortable with me dating, but they had never came up in years. So I'm like, why now? So I thought that was the hit. That was a hit to my core, because it was like if you don't like his dark skin, what about my skin? Although you're darker, you're darker than me.
Yeah.
And then the third major thing that took me for a hit, a black teenager, my third child, Charlie. You know, he's 3.5 now. When he was about 6 months, I was in Montgomery County somewhere. Cozy's or something. Yeah, Cozy's. I was getting something to eat, and a teenager walked up to me and said, "Excuse me, is that your baby?" I said, "Yes." Why? She was like, "You're dark skinned. How can you have a light skinned baby?" And she goes,
"Lucky she didn't call the cops."
Yeah, so like she was black though. It's again, she was
That
darker
don't
than
mean
me.
nothing.
Okay, got okay.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
She was
Listen,
black teenager and darker than me, skin tone. It's always coming from. I was just like, what? Like Flora, and she was like, "Isn't your husband dark brown skin?" I said, "Yeah." She was like, "How did y'all have a light skinned baby?" I said, "Well, excuse me, my family's the Mensa pot, and black people range different colors. It can come from different generations on either side." I said, "We do have really light skinned people in our family," and I said, "He's not even light skinned; he's caramel." She was like, "Well, to me, he's a light skinned baby." And she was like, "I was just wondering." I said, "Well, that is rude." I said, "I never thought about that." I said, "But he gets it from my families."
Right.
So
Right.
I just think it's a lot of self hate, and we just don't know. Deep down, we just have a lot of self hate.
Right. Hey Ruth, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's ingrained in this colonized life we are part of, and it's projected on every platform media that we have. So we get inundated with it from before we're even in kindergarten. We're inundated with these things. They're still doing the test where you have the picture with and they're like light brown, dark brown, and when they ask, they're still doing that. It used to be the doll test, but now it's a picture with different colors, and kids are still picking the darker ones to be the criminals, or the better ones, the lighter ones still being the prettier ones, or the ones that are not as bad. But again, so that we have
goes back to the programming I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and we have to break that programming, and we start home. So we got to teach our kids, that they're beautiful. We can't forget and think that they know it, because they're inundated with this stuff everywhere. You got to make sure they know that they're beautiful. Their hair is beautiful. Anybody tell them anything different.
Mm-hmm.
And even with my locks now, having locks for the last couple of years, you see the how people look at them or look at you sometimes. And it's kind of it's definitely a different thing from having 360 to having locks, and the people's approaching. How did you do that? How did you do that? Get away from. That's me. Get away from.
Are those extensions? I said no. I grow my own hair.
Yeah, like. Get away from me. I don't have.
They commercialize having it. Like once they begin to accept it, they commercialize having it. So now you can have faux locks.
Right.
But I think it's more like you can't grow hair in the bush. In Africa, you booty snaps can't grow hair. So how did you get that? It's really too disrespectful when you ask me about my hair length and things of that nature. Because to me, it's like you don't think. Fine. My hair can't grow. It's out of ignorance that ask these questions.
Right.
So for me, you're getting that ignorant answer back. And hopefully I'll teach you a lesson never to ask that question again. Or please don't try to touch it. Because I smack hands quick, fast.
What my answer used to, but my answer used to be, are those clip-ins? Or did you get the micro the ones you had to stitch, the micro extensions? They was like, what? I said, when my hair was natural and I did have locks, I did clipping weaves too. So what do you have in your head? And they'd be like, how did you know about that? Look, and so they stopped asking me questions.
But the thing about the whole extension process is that people who are not melanated with the very textures that we have of our hair, they started the whole sew in, glue in,
right? Clip in. They did.
Like they started all of this. We just mastered it to have the versatility with it, and then you mad.
It's crazy because I didn't again, not knowing, ignorance. I didn't know that white girls had weaves and clip-ons and things of nature. I remember I was dating this Asian girl. Listen, I was dating this Asian girl, and she got comfortable and did something, and the whole half of the hair came off. Wait, whoa, what? Hair?
Yep.
Where your hair go? What are you doing here? Half the reason I'm here is because you had that long hair. What is going on here? Okay.
That is so funny.
But it be like
This
that.
ain't gonna work. This, and I didn't know. Like I was really introduced to something that night. Like, okay, all right. Y'all hoodwinked me. I've been bamboozled. Run amok. Let us race.
And like the perspectives of hair is just so wide, stretched. Like Ruth is saying that her son goes through it all the time, like in regards to locks being real or not being real. And I don't know, my hair story is like one of those. I used to get in an argument with a coworker every time I was going to get my hair done. And I'm like, last time I checked, this was my hair. And I was swiping my card to get my hair done. Why are you fighting me because I'm celebrating Creamy Crack Day? Perm didn't do nothing wrong to me. I didn't have a reason to break up with that whole process. But for her, I had to trade in my black card because our belief systems around hair was not the same.
We're different.
And I'm like, where did that come from? First of all, that you're going to bully me every 2 weeks that I'm going to get my hair done. Like, I don't even understand why we having this conversation. But the entitlement from people who look like you as well as people who don't, that just want to run their fingers through your hair and think that that's okay. And then when you have your own relationship with your crown and how you represent, like they feel some type of way that you actually advocating for, how you represent your hair.
So I would agree with that. So I remember one day my hair was straight. I had a lot of hair, but shrinkage is real. So the way I straightened my hair was like, how the white girls get the blowouts. Blowouts is the best thing that happened to me. That flat iron ain't for me. But anyway, instead of using Creamy Crack, I went back old school and used the mayonnaise, like the gypsy women do, the mayonnaise and the egg. Mix that up and I put it on my hair like a perm. I let it sit in my hair for about 2 hours. Natural stuff, no Creamy Crack. And then I let rinse it out, condition my hair, let my hair air dry. And then I blow dried it like it was a round brush. And it was straight. And even when my husband came home, he's like, you put a perm in your hair? You got weave in your hair? I said, no, because he don't like none of that. He likes natural. And I was like, no, it's straight, but it's my hair. And he was like, oh, it's so nice. You would have thought you got a perm when I went to work. People were talking about, oh, I thought you was natural. You got a perm. I said, no, this is what I did. They was like, really? I said, you can get your hair straight without putting a lot of chemicals in. So I just think people's thought process about what's a perm, what's a texturizer, what's a relaxer, if you put rollers in your hair, if you had to use certain products, and people's like, outside of that, like shampoo, conditioner, what products do you use? I said nothing, water. Like I think people's perception, and I used to tell people, what you put in your hair, you should be able to eat. So I think the whole natural.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't think that.
It is.
Well, you know what? I think it's this. You know what? Whatever you do with your hair, as long as you want to do it, that should be fine. If you want to be natural, cool, be natural. If you want to use Creamy Crack, cool, because too many times people are like, oh, you're not natural. We shouldn't judge people how they're styling themselves, right? If that's, again, and that's what we need to stop doing. Telling people, oh, you should be natural, or you should, again, it's a choice, and we should stay out of people's business. Like, as long as it's not hurting them, I feel as long as you're getting it done right, because, I don't hair falling out and all that type of nonsense. But as long as your hair, right, like if you got bald patches because you're doing wrong, we need to help.
That's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah. That's help. That we want to help you.
Right.
Help
And it's like people project. Like I think that person that fought with me, I think she had a bad relationship with perm. I never had a bad relationship with perm.
If you get it done right.
Right. I only have one hairstylist for the past 23 years.
Right.
So I got growing hands in my hair. So it's like I don't bounce around. Like
a lot of people do. Yeah.
A lot of people do. You got all these hands in your hair. That's why your hair got a different conversation in mine. I'm sorry, Daryl. I cut you off.
No, I'm just saying we got to stop with sometimes we get very monolithic in our way of thinking. And it's like, this is the way Black people are. No, we're really not. And we should be able to make room for us to grow the way we want to grow. Yeah, and you should be able to report of if that's the way you're moving, right? If that's the way you're moving, and it looks nice, girl. Go ahead with your straight hair. As long as your mentality isn't this straight hair is better because the colonizer says it is, right? I think the mindset behind it is important. Now, if you're walking around thinking you're better than someone, your hair is straight, or oh, that pinky hair that's different. That's a different conversation. We should love how we're doing or different styles and things of that nature. That's fine. If someone doesn't want to, go with creamy crack, hey, cool girl, your hair look good. Hey, you blowing it out, or you got the eggs and mayonnaise, you making a sandwich on your head. That's cool.
That's what I feel like.
like whatever it is, we got to start embracing each other and loving each other instead of always trying to tear each other down.
And allow people to live in their lane. Everybody does so different in their own lane. Like, so I've never naturally worn locks, but when somebody says they're dreads, I get real defensive and reactive because they're not dreadful.
Right. And I do.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the whole natural, like, their stages and cycles. When this is my second set of locks. My first set I had about 7 years. This set I've had over 7 years. But in between, I had like 2.5 years. I was still natural wearing my hair, but I didn't wear it straight all the time. And I had, another black coworker come up to me like, why you stop wearing your hair straight? I said, to be honest, I get jobs or I work consult based on my skills. So, white people start asking the same thing. Black people, I used to be like, I have no incentive to straighten my hair. It doesn't matter 1 iota. I still get the same type. Like, you're hiring me because I'm coming in here because you like the work that I do and my resume and my track record. So it speaks volumes. Regardless if I've gone to meetings with an afro. And, I used to marry nose. I used to love my flowers and my bows. I still
don't go to an interview with afro. You might not get the job.
No, I have. And so when my family and like different people like, why are you going to interview looking like that? It was nice. It was catch. I said, I have no incentive to ever straighten my hair unless I just feel like it. I said, why am I straightening my hair? So somebody else can feel comfortable. I said, I've evolved.
Yes.
There's no incentive to straighten my hair.
It's real, but those things are an issue sometimes.
No, it is. It's definitely
even
an issue,
locks.
But I feel like you gotta have the confidence.
I don't care about your confidence. If they're looking at you like an animal because you have this, locks or things, it's their perception, and they're doing a hiring. That problem that they can't turn it off sometimes. That they only see us one way, and when we don't fit the mold of what they deem to be acceptable black, we have problems. Right, because sometimes just your name alone may not let you in the door when they read your name on the application.
Correct, so but my name actually coming there with the door. I agree with everything, and it does happen. But a lot of times, I've got more positive feedback from people that don't look like us versus us. So a lot of times they see curls and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that is so cool!" Like now, I used to. By being in education, that down south old school, you don't have color in your hair. You keep it black or brown. It looks real. Keep it kept close to your head. It's just curls flowing. You want to be real, like Southern Baptist type. How I was raised. That's how I stuck to for so long. But now, you might see me with pink and gray and silver and blue and purple, and I'ma show up, and people are like, "Oh, that's so cool." Other people like, "You want a job interview like that?" So same thing with my nails. During the school year, I would only get like this color, people that's old school, opal color, or like French tips, or like American. I would never get designs and color like that when I was working during the school year, because I wanted to be seen as, even though I'm not conforming in any way, but I was conforming. No, I am not. But when it came to nail polish and my hair color, I was conforming, because I wanted to be seen as traditional and conservative to some degree, even though I'm not conforming in any areas of my life outside of that. But now, I don't care. I show up in color. But I also notice us as blacks in the greater Philadelphia area, Jersey, we've been able to kind of do that just because how the makeup of the city is, how it's ran, how other higher ups are different people in the city that's in different positions dress and wear their hair, and the culture up here is different. So, like, for example, education, state law, you're not supposed to wear a cross, you're not supposed to wear a certain head garb versus religion or anything. But in Philly, runs different than the rest of the state. We're able to do that here. A part of just things being a part of your culture, a part of your hair, a part of who you are, colorism, all of that, we're able to live out differently here than other places. So
I think they'll let you in the door.
I was just on a call on Monday with the person that was speaking was from Florida, but people from all over the country. And as soon as I guess myself and somebody else who was on the call said that we were from Philly, his first thing was he tried to hide his beard whenever he's in Philly, because beards in Philly have like a whole just personality and lifestyle. He said, whereas in Florida, people looking at me like, okay, why you got all that hair? It's hot, this, that, and the third. He said, I would fit in if I lived in Philly. And I said, you would.
Oh, absolutely.
You really would. I said certain zip codes, probably more than others based on how yours is represented, but you would have full permission to rock your beard without anybody questioning it. They may question some of your lifestyle preferences based on your beard, because that's something else that we do. You know, it's like we always got to make sense on why people made a decision about how they show up. Like why we gotta do that? Like, we end up causing dissension for no apparent reason.
That's right. But it seems like that's you in the door, but as you rise up, you see less and less of the diversity. You know, you see less of the
good word.
Yeah, good word.
the locks stop at a certain level. You know, it's really interesting to see. You know, it's still very. You know, as you get higher, it seems like the standard goes to a more of a colonized standard. You know, to keep you out.
It's just interesting thinking about hair, and I guess I'm thinking about the anthology that I contributed to and some of the stories that stood out. And I know can't help me with this, so she'll be like, okay, yep, she did say that in her book. But like, I had being self-contractor now, but I was representing this person's brand. I came out of an appointment with somebody, and it was all these bundles of hair on the conference table. First of all, I didn't know about bundles at that particular time to even understand what was happening, because I know when I went in the appointment, the conference table was a conference table. I come out and it's a whole store. and like, it was a whole store, and being encouraged that I needed to invest in hair. And I'm like, you invest in how much in this hair that's sitting on the conference table? Like, I'm really not understanding why this is important, but because it was important in her mind that you had to wear this colonized look or big hair that wasn't necessarily colonized look, but she believed that you had to have the bundles. And I was like, okay, this is not what building a leader up is supposed to be. Like, you can't tell me to have like what my hair is supposed to look like, what lipstick I'm wearing, what outfit I'm wearing. Like, that's just too much control. But that came from somebody who looked like us. So it's like we do damage to ourselves before we even allow other cultures to kind of step in as well to do their thing that they do.
When you talk about doing damage and dissension, I even think about when you're going for a job, for example, like when you're at a job or whatever, and they're hiring, and you bringing people coming in, putting their resumes in, and you're part of the hiring process. I used to hear people say, oh, we have such and such from what's the name? So somebody else, one of us would say, are they black? That name's, or they African? Because I thought are they dark, or are they like brown, black, mocha, or are they dark? She was like, girl, you know they dark, they African. They from Africa. So it was like dissension, like the colorism already right there before we brought the, like,
before you even look at their credentials, before
you even look at the credentials, and before we even sat down and interviewed, and this is us. And I'm like, what? Does it matter that they from Africa? And they're a little darker? Does it matter? Well, I don't know if they're going to fit in here. What country they from? I'm like, can we just look at the resume first to see if they fit their credentials fit best with what we're asking for or what we need help with. I said,
Right.
you look at if they're like their culture, but they could be bringing something different that could help the school culture or could help our department, and which we
Right.
need, because we do have students
Would
from various students from across the board here in the United States and
Right.
would, it,
overseas.
would that question be asked of a colonizer?
No,
It's from
because
us.
they
I mean,
don't even have to show up in a suit or like in a professional dress. Like we go all out. Oh, I got
Yeah,
a
man.
job, interview with such and such. Let me go out to the store. Or girl, can I borrow this so that I could wear this to the interview? Because you know I gotta look a certain way. Like, and I always say it's the professional costume. Like, why we gotta look a certain way, and then you look to the right of you or to the left of you, and people who don't look like us just put on any old type of shirt and any old type of
I ain't
pants.
gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. When I noticed that maybe 10 years ago, I said I'm not gonna get dressed up. I got dressed up, but I started looking like we, you know, down south we say white girl cute. So I used to just look white girl cute, and you was so funny. I would go to these interviews with colonizers, black people, different people, and the black people would be like, they would like my resume, but be off-putting. But then the white people be like, "Girl, I love that skirt. I love that outfit. Where did you get it from?"
So yeah, I don't fall for that trick anymore. At the job I worked at, I remember the CEO of the company was a black woman. And once I started seeing how they dressed there, I said, you know what? Well, let me scale it back. You know, I'm gonna dress the way everybody else dressing. And she called me off and said, you have that privilege. You cannot do that differently, and the repercussions that you'll have will not be what they have. So you dress the way you're supposed to dress.
No, it was professional. It just wasn't.
You know,
all the way up.
no, they don't. No, they're not professionals. Them sneaks they had for 12 years, they're still wearing. It was nothing professional about it. That's
Oh,
it
would
was
you wear
very,
it?
very casual.
Okay.
It was very, very casual. You know, and I was like, well, if we're casual, let's do this. This works for me. And
Let's do this.
she was like, it doesn't work for you. Don't do it anymore. You know, she said, don't do what they do. You have different standards, and I learned a lot from her. And you know, so again, they may tell you you're fine and things like that, but you're not in that meeting after the meeting that they talk about you at. You're not privy to that. So
I see.
I don't. You know, you don't get anything.
I totally agree with what you're saying, but I still got there is a difference. But I still got hired for the job.
And I think
I get you.
The atmosphere that you know interviewing for,
right.
Because I think that the experience I talk about when I was contracting for the person, that you know I just realized, okay, there's certain things about the expectations that don't match what makes me happy, like what makes me feel whole, because my skill set is why I'm here, and I'm knocking that out the box without a question. You worried about if I got foundation on and if I got a big hairstyle, like that don't have nothing to do with nothing. Nothing.
I definitely get it. I just think it's I guess it depends on the culture of wherever you're at when it comes to all of that, because I've been at schools where I thought they said they was all, you know, hoteps. People that was about the life, and then like I would still wear a blazer, still wear like a skirt, all that, but like I would probably wear like kente cloth, like you know my shirt, or wear something like with Africa or something on it, and they would be like, I was professional dress, and it was still like sometimes it'd be issue from us, of course, and I'd be like, isn't this a culture? Isn't this the expectations, the way we're supposed to dress, or different things? And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, so I found since I'm not so conforming in other ways, even when it comes to us and like other black people, I'm still given a different expectation or standard, I guess, when it comes to like the dress and culture, even though it is professional or certain things. So I kind of just be like, come to work, professional dress, rock out. So I just, you know, it just depends on where you're at, I think.
Definitely Quaker school has a whole different.
Oh yes, they're
Very unique. Yes,
My
is what.
son went to a Quaker school.
You're what?
I said my oldest went to a Quaker school, so it was very different. Yep.
Right. So like how does the value systems impact relationships that have different rate? They could be in the same actual ethnic group but have different belief systems. But then they could also be what I want to say. They could also be like mixed races. Like if you are identified as African American and dating a Hispanic American, or like those values, how do they impact the relationships? She said they didn't understand why I washed at all for work. Oh no. Oh my gosh.
You know how that go. Roll over.
I do know how that go, because then they want to use the natural soaps or the natural deodorants, if any at all, and you like, okay, wait a minute.
I use natural deodorant, but got a scent to it though. It's like essential oil, like a lavender or something going on.
I don't know. After the end of the day, sometimes those things don't work well with your body chemistry.
But it means you got to keep a bag of something like.
That's why I say you gotta have a shower, but I'm not gonna go to that conversation.
Oh yeah, that conversation. But I will, when it talks about like when you mention relationships. So for example, I have a different take on it. So when I've dated Hispanics, like Hispanic Americans or anything like that, my culture is similar to their culture, because my mom's side is Creole. Then we have like, my family is a melting pot. So I've been asked, oh, are you Haitian? Are you from here? Are you from there? And I'm like, no, my family is just a melting pot. Different languages, different cultures, different people. So with dating that person, the relationships was great. But having to deal with what comes with that with outside people, not understanding that although we're Black, ethnicity is different from race. We can be the same race, but different nationalities or different ethnicities. Like, right. I'm Black in America, but then there's also Black people in Brazil. There's Black people in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? Just different things like that. So sometimes we don't understand that we can still, we're all over the diaspora. So we're still Black, but our cultures are different. So even now, my culture is different, and people are like, you what? You grew up eating that? You grew up doing that? You had these traditions? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and then I get the next thing, oh, if you're not Haitian, are you Mexican? It's just so it's like I think it's a problem for other people. It's never been a problem for me. So I don't always have a lot in common. Like if dating people was never an issue of different races per se, I think it was always an issue for outside people because they don't understand. How can you do this? Or how can your culture be this? Or because your parents are this and your family is this. But when you like really look at it from a picture as a whole, it's more than just, Black people, we're not linear. Like, different spectrums, different backgrounds, different cultures.
This up there, like we're multi-dimensional.
Yes. So I think that's been a problem.
I mean, I don't know. Dating someone, I don't care, most part, race, whatever, and that's easy. Right? I like you. I want to talk to you, and we kick it. That's not. Right. It's usually the issue.
Check the box, yes or no.
Right. Maybe it's usually their parents, maybe, or if their parents are really traditional, sometimes that could be a problem. Usually, when you're on your own bubble, when you two are together, it's not too many problems until you leave outside. Like, obviously, it's a good learning experience. You may learn some things from their side. You may teach some things. But it's usually when you go out, you go to that family function, and you go up to serve yourself, and everybody looks like, why is he?
Why are you serving yourself?
You didn't know you broke a cardinal sin to make your own plate.
Women make your plate.
Now she's looking at the woman the woman look terrible now. Now she's getting her back kicked in. Like, look at her. He got to get his own food. She ain't no damn good. You didn't know. Now you made her look bad. By getting a plate because you just want her to, So usually that usually is the issue. It's usually outside of because in your little bubble, I think you're usually cool. You guys learn from each other. It's just other people have, and the pressures of the outside world usually are what, for me, when I did different ethnic groups or different people, usually when we got into our family together, that's usually where problems would present themselves. We were good outside of our families.
Right.
I mean, because I think the family has these different expectations on who it is that they want to see you partner up with. And if you partner with somebody different than that, then it's like all of these known rules, but unknown rules or secret rules that you ain't know that you had to give the black book log to say, okay, well, wait, we going to the cookout or to the holiday dinner. These are the things to do. You don't even think about it because you've lived it so long, again, in that programming and that download, that you're thinking, okay, they're going to be all right because I'm bringing this guest into the family. And no, they show their colors, who they are and how it is that they choose to show up in that relationship. And it's like, us being multidimensional, it's not a punishment. It's just an acknowledgement of, okay, every couple, every family is unique. Like they have an overarching umbrella of things that's important, but they're very, very unique.
Yep, I would agree with that. And even with dating somebody black, it was just like, what side of town is he from?
Right.
You took a picture. Was that or those row houses? Is he from the hood? Like just that whole. And I'm like, I said, does it matter? And it came to a point, you're asking me that it's a different culture, whatever, but you're asking me that, and I said, at least he grew up stable. So, just the whole, like,
I don't know about you bougie black people that ask those type of questions. I remember when I was growing up, I didn't want to date a black girl too, because I felt like we shared the same experience, and I felt like someone who was maybe African or Jamaican or Haitian or Puerto Rican would have a different culture, and we can kind of share different things from our culture with each other. It was really silly, but that's what for a while.
I remember, like growing up in Chicago, I remember like the neighborhood was Italian, Hispanic, and Black. Like that was the predominant ethnic groups that were identified. And so like if you were Black and you dated someone who was Hispanic, which it could have been, and they have their differences, Puerto Rican, Mexican, like those, all of that conversation that goes on, then it was like your status changed. And I'm just like, okay, why does my status change just because of who it is that I'm choosing to deal with at this particular time? And there might have been some street cred stuff going on, but that's not what this show is about. So like it might have been some of that stuff too, but it was more so like, okay, well, you dealing with X and X, okay. How's that working out for you? And I'm like, I'm like, well, why? He's a man or he's a young man. Like we just dating. Like, what are you really asking me? Because then I would just ask, like, what do you really want to know? What's your real question? Because like we cover up some of those real things that we really want to ask people, what we're maybe uncomfortable with, versus just having a real conversation. Like, help me understand whatever, versus projecting other shenanigans.
And when people start asking it, and I'm, it's like, ooh, y'all, if you know if it was Hispanic, somebody, whatever, or light-skinned Black man, oh, y'all would have pretty babies. Your baby would have good hair. It's like the colorism again. Like,
and why we all the way to having babies? Like, I just went on one date. Like, why we gotta go all the way that far?
And it was like, girl, you should stay with him because you'll go far in life. Based off him being light skinned?
Right. Well, I don't know about going far. You'd have a nice looking child. You see that curly hair? Girl, he got curly hair and light eyes. Oh, winning.
Oh, yeah. With the light. Don't forget bow-legged. Don't forget bow-legged.
Winning.
Don't forget the bow-legged.
And then I just remember the guys in my family were encouraged to like marry either outside the race or just marry somebody who was lighter skinned, because they was like, oh, your child won't have this bad. Your children won't have this bad. I'm like, does he even like her? They only been dating 2 months. Does he know if he wants to even take it, just really a full relationship at this point? So that was always. And then it was big. We was programmed. The guys in my family programmed that trophy wife. Have somebody on your arm that's black but real light skin, like high yellow. Have them on your arm because
absolutely.
They'll move you in circles, like the corporate America. You can move quicker in circles because that's in the status.
I never heard that.
Like,
I never.
What did she bring to the table?
You ain't never hear about. That's the reason why escort services became so popular. Or I need to go to this business meeting and I have to have a
date,
partner.
right?
Yeah, a date next to me. So yeah, this is the part. Yeah, I need to look the part.
So a light skinned black girl getting a job.
No, because like you already have a job. White people, it'd be easier for you to move.
The white people still looking at the. I don't know how you are. White people aren't looking at you differently.
Well, for example, I won't say the names of who they are, but for example, I know somebody who didn't really have the skills, but since she was a very light-skinned black woman, she wasn't given the custodial job. She was made the secretary based on how she looked. So that does happen in corporate America or in.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. She got the job because she didn't have the skills, or the way she looked?
She didn't have the skills, but she got the job because she was lighter skinned. And the darker skinned employees were given jobs that were not forefront, like custodial, the mail room.
To hide them.
Was the light skinned girl prettier?
Not necessarily. She was just lighter skinned.
No, was she prettier? The question is, was she prettier?
No, she just lighter skinned.
Oh, okay.
And she got a job.
What hypothesis did you have going on, Daryl?
Yeah.
Say again?
What hypothesis did you have going on with that question?
No, I was saying prettier people definitely get better jobs anyway, more handsome, or that's just fact. So if the woman was a prettier woman, just legit independently of her light skin, she might have got the job because she was just prettier.
Well, no, she had I would say her hair was like wavy, long and pretty and wavy.
So I mean, I don't know. I would have to see them both, but again, a dark skinned woman is probably not going to be looked as pretty anyway. From depending on who if we're going with it. My husband's curly hair, our boy.
Bruce said no guarantees.
Exactly, they should choose their partners.
Right, I agree.
Well, the problem is we're calling nappy naps, right? I mean, what is that? It's just if we have a little kinkier hair. I mean, all hair is just different. It's a little kinkier or less kinky. Yeah. We have to stop having stigma using nappy and things of that nature. That's a very negative connotation. Ruth did it that way at all, not at all. But we do that sometimes. And hair is hair, independently of how coarse or how fine it is. It's all beautiful, and that's what we start seeing it as it's all.
She said, "Break a comb
kinky." Hey, that's fine. Hey, well, we know what that is. So the 4A? I don't know the difference. Whatever it is,
or you can cool, some number things. Like I'm like, okay, I ain't trying to be a chemist with hair. I just need to know.
Yeah.
If it's gonna break the comb, what I need to put in the hair first, so it can restyle itself. Yes.
Absolutely, all hair is beautiful. And I think everybody has to learn how to take care of hair to their likings. We have to stop really have this hierarchy of hair where the fine is this and the kinky's the end. Let's stop that, right? Hair is hair, and it all is beautiful. Just contingent upon how it's how you style and look at it or whatever case may be. Like I was watching. I think it's called Run the World on Showtime. One girl has really short hair. Yeah, she has really short hair. I mean, damn near bald fade, and it is sexy, right? It's how you wear it. And I think earlier, confidence too. You wear it and you have confidence. Let's rock.
So if you're in a
not
committed
dismissing.
relationship, do you have to ask your partner if you're changing your hair?
Are we committed a committed jail
Yeah, is it
relationship?
committed?
What kind of relationship we
Yeah.
have here? We got to check in about how you're doing your hair. I didn't know. Like,
I mean, because
what are you
sometimes a
laughing
partner
about?
will be very, very strong on how it is
Controlling?
controlling. Yes,
Yep.
Yeah.
on how
Red
they want
flag.
their hair. Right.
If you can't change your hair without checking in, problems.
Well, I know if I'm gonna do something that's like different than what the hubby would prefer, I just kind of give him a heads up, like, yo, I'm about to go get my hair colored, or this I'm about to. I don't want you to be surprised, but it's gonna look pretty. But I like it, so it doesn't matter. So I remember once I got different colors, like half of my hair, my locks, and my husband was like, "Oh, you look like a rainbow." And then I was like, "But I love my rainbow, and it's pretty." He's like, "It's pretty, but you couldn't dial down the color, like less color." I was like, "No, I'm not. This is who I am. I love it." And then one of my my youngest was like, "I want rainbow hair too." I was like, "I don't know if you can, because he has locks." I'm like, "I don't know if you can have rainbow hair," but like that was sometimes when somebody feels so strongly about something,
So I think
you
that's
just have to
cool.
rock
I
it.
think that he was able to say, hey, look, I'd rather I'd rather you do it this way, and you're like, well, I want to keep, and that's cool. Like we can definitely have a conversation about anything. I should be able to say like, hey, I like you. I would like it better if you. But if you don't, I'm also cool with that as well. Like I'm not going to try to stop you from doing it. I'm like, I'd rather you not, purple. But if you go purple, we just go purple. I mean, I just won't take any pictures with you, but that's on you. I mean, listen,
Oh
it's
my
not
god.
I'm
Really, you
only
want to take
kidding.
pictures
No, I'm
with
only kidding.
him?
Yeah, but I think we like I don't I think we definitely should say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. Just like so someone will come home
I had some,
shocked, real bright. The who this came and house of this go here. So yeah, I don't think you should have to ask that question. I think you could, inform.
Inform. Yeah, I'm gonna say inform.
I
That's a good.
But if,
don't
say you
think you should
inform them
ask.
and they don't agree with it, you still gonna get it done?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be like, we multi-dimensional in our culture? I can represent how I want to represent.
Yep.
So for me, I would ask, why are they so adamant about it? You know what I mean? If there was a reason that I could get behind, like if I was going that red and like my mom used to wear and don't remind me of her every day. All right, cool, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not do it that way. So it can be a conversation, and I would want to know why you're at it. But if it's just because, then you need to just because don't look at it. Because this is what I want. There's certain things that I should be able to control about my look. And if you don't like it, then I'll change in another 6 months. So.
Right, but like
I think.
Ruth says, a great
But
question.
it shouldn't be a
For
thing.
approval. My hair is mine, and I change my look
mine.
so often that he reaps the benefits of a different woman. I know that's right. Every few weeks.
That's a great.
It's the same woman. I just let you know. He knows it's the same woman. It's not different.
Daryl, you know what she mean.
Right.
He ain't got to get bored with the same look. He knows she gonna keep it spicy and real.
It's not spicy real. He's like, okay, food with different color plate. Still the same.
There you go. You just had to say something so she could write hush Daryl. Ruth, I think he's all right in the world now. You said it.
He's like, she's red now. Oh, she's blonde this week.
I know when I had the red hair, and it was, the different styles that I did with the red hair, and the red hair was shed. my friend would be like, "It's red hair everywhere."
Right.
He liked the styles, but it would be like when it starts shedding, it would be a whole different conversation. It's like, it's red hair everywhere. Like, it just travels with me. I could be somewhere and all of a sudden red hair is showing up. I'd be like, I'm just with you all the time.
But see, now we're leaving evidence. That's a problem.
I wasn't leaving evidence. The hair, the quality of the hair was shedding. I don't have no need to put my shoes and pee on your feet to mark my territory.
No, I gotta explain what this red hair is doing.
All you gotta do is live right, and you ain't gotta explain nothing.
Right. You ain't gotta explain.
You ain't gotta explain.
I agree. You living right. I agree.
We are living right. We are living our best life, and this red hair is getting in the way.
Just get somebody to come over and clean and get all the red hair before the next person come over.
see that now that's work. I gotta work after you leave and work for the next person to come.
You have somebody to come clean it for you.
That means I gotta pay to have somebody. This is a lot going on.
Do these things have you in one? Do these things that we've talked about, like the colorism, the perspectives, the ideas, or whatever? See, she said you gotta explain yourself. You living foul, Daryl.
It's not living foul. It's living your
best life.
I'm just trying to avoid arguments. Like, if you come with your red hair and she got, blonde, now I gotta listen. I don't feel like now she gonna get mad. I'm gonna answer the question. I don't know what hair came from. Came from the roof. I don't know. It just magically appeared. See, you try to argue.
Or you gonna say you was in work, neutral color hair. And you and your coworker, she had red hair. Then it's gonna lead. Well, why was you so close to your coworker that her red hair got on you?
Right.
I tell her to back up off me, but she don't listen. Or when you get red hair, I gotta tell the other one to get red hair too. Everybody, go red.
That's a great idea.
There we go.
That's a great. See, when you live in foul, you think of things like that. Like,
that's a great idea.
Yes.
Got to be ahead of the game.
But what if the other person don't like red as they color? They like purple.
Well, I pay for it, babe. I pay for you to get it done. Yeah. That's what I like.
It's weird. We got to figure that out. I just have some wigs in my house. Like, I'm selling wigs, and I have a red one in there. Boom.
Yeah, no, that's not going to
play. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm selling bundles. I'm selling bundles.
Ruth was saying that the hair,
right.
You get the different looks.
There it is.
But what I was trying to answer before we got into Daryl's foulness and trying to buy wigs to cover up his stories was, how does this really influence, I want to say, the wellness and or possible mental health of your relationship when there's racial things that are triggering you or challenging you in your everyday life? Could be in the workplace, could be out socially. You could be a black man that just walks by people and people are, clenching their bag, or people are intimidated by a lot of things.
I want to think about an aspect of sometimes, where you may want this light skin, what you feel beautiful goddess, but you may have to settle for a dark skinned woman, right? And you really feel like you settled for this dark skinned woman, and you don't give her the respect you would give a light skinned woman, or you're always still looking for that light skinned woman that you want with the long hair, whatever you want. You may be looking for that still, right? And this is what you're settling for, whatever, and that could really affect a relationship. I see that sometimes where, the guy is treating woman at home terribly, right? Very not respecting, and then he's in the streets, still trying to take that illusion that he feels to be the standard. And it's crazy when you see that happen. You see sometimes that she's just not respected. Like, dark-skinned women, definitely I see are not respected in some of the relationships I see with friends. And even some relationships I had where, a dark-skinned woman, before I found, like, I didn't really think dark women were really attractive at the time. Cause I didn't find myself attractive. I found myself to be ugly. So anything that kind of, again, like my grandmother. So it took me a while to really learn. Now, again, it wasn't really white. Like, I never really thought that was my way to go. But light skin or Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Asian, I guess they're white. You know, I would go.
They're supposed to be melanated.
Excuse me?
They're a little melanated, a little.
Neapolitan, you said?
I said melanated. Asians have melanation in their skin.
Not really. You know, Asians are Caucasians.
Okay,
they are. In America,
they're migrated. They from the Caucasus Mountains. They migrated over there. It was really shiny and late, I think, or something. They said the sun was close, and I don't know. Could be wrong.
With you.
Red. It's true or not? It's something like that. They said the difference of people.
All right, you can keep with your story. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that I think sometimes dark-skinned women don't get the respect that they deserve. Sometimes, you know, because they're on the bottom of the standard of beauty for a long time. They definitely weren't represented. Like I said, now I when I see a dark woman on TV that is beautiful, I point it out all the time. Like, oh, look at that! So much, even like the Run the World, I love it. You know, there are two very dark skinned girls that are very beautiful on there. And so it's definitely good to see that the beauty is being shown of all women now, all hues and things of that nature. So I think things are changing a little bit. But like I said, I can definitely see that. The colonized mind is still there, especially in Black men. I know my, generation growing up, it definitely was wanted that light skin, wavy hair type thing. I guess even now in the videos, the models is kind of the same thing, but you see a lot of everything. But I mean, the light skin, wavy hair still has the advantage. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Still more of a standard than anything else that's presented. I mean, that's presented to us media-wise. Not that I agree at all.
Right.
So when I think about, so I've had situations like in everyday life. You know how you get on the elevator and somebody like other status, they do this, the whole hair, comes down, and and my hair has been
the hair. Wait, I'm sorry. The hair come down. What happens? I'm sorry.
No, like they. You know how sometimes a white chick can be like this. You know how you like
how she flick her hair.
Yeah, flick her hair.
Oh, yeah.
Behind it. Well, I've been in the elevator in other places where my hair has been up, and I took my hair down and did this, and they go.
Oh, they're doing it as like a kind of a disrespect type thing.
Right, in terms of people, because that's always it's non-verbal. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not verbally,
right?
But you see the looks.
Yes.
You see the looks. The gestures.
They're like, oh, you can't.
Right. So
gotcha.
I'm in places. My hair. I love my buns. I love my hair up. I take my hair down to be like this. They were like, and people just look and stare and be like, yeah, boo, that's my real hair. It grows very long. I just cut it. But like, I've had people say, oh, I didn't know that was your real hair. It's really long. I said, Black people hair do grow, like, we can grow our hair. So I think that's happened many times over. At the airport, but it's like nonverbal. Airport, at the job, like out at the grocery store. You'd be surprised. Like 90% of communication is nonverbal.
So when you say that,
I'm just saying, like, it happens.
It does happen, but I never looked at it in the with the intention of it being like a power trip or like a difference, or them trying to say something. It would irritate me that we might be in a training or something and they would sit there and all of a sudden start flicking their hair, and I'm like, okay, I think germs personally, but
shedding, but I'm gonna be quiet on that. But
my thought or irritation was, okay, like you flicking it all over here, now I gotta eat in this space, or like I just thought it was disrespect. I didn't look at it as I could do this and you can't.
Because a lot of times it is that, or like if you're in a place where you may be like one of the only few blacks, it's not always about color and race, but I do see in terms of like not okay, take out the color and race. I do see it is with women in general. I've even when people have weave, like it could be anybody with a weave but particularly like when I've been in certain places, it is like a power tripping like it's something like Dura was talking about earlier. If you and another coworker did the same thing, y'all have different ethnicities, there's a different expectation for you that you have to follow and for them to follow. And then I've been at a table where the decision was detrimental for me versus them, white women, and they go like this, like, oh, I got this in the bag.
I've seen it.
So I've taken down like my styles that I spent money for and been like, I'm not phased. Kind of like it's a power trip. So
that's so funny because I never took that as a power trip, but now I'm gonna be in a meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time, and
it does happen all the time.
And I see it done. It's not necessarily done to me per se, but I see it done to fellow, just fellow coworkers, or just people like in the space with, even virtually.
Do you think that they do it to each other as well as to?
I've seen it done. They do it to each other. Yes, if they think the other person is beneath them, like lower in status, like based on where they live, especially how they grew up and their background, even if they've made it, but they still bring it like, oh, you're from the, the other side of the track.
You're from the middle class.
Right? No, seriously. I've seen it done.
Going here. I don't know. That's a little deep for me.
But it's a thing, though. It's a thing.
So we'll get back to relationships, and I'm sorry, and how it affects you. I know white women do sometimes approach me as a black man because I'm a black man, like big black buck type thing.
But you ain't even big and buck.
Happening. No, but to them I am, right? To them, and that's what's funny time.
To be honest, I think he would.
Yeah, to them. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm not. All right. So kind of like first of all, big buck. So don't do that.
I don't want to take it away.
Don't do that, okay?
Okay. I'm not.
All right, don't. This is what it's supposed to be like, okay?
Even Ruth said
but it. But it's interesting. It's interesting because a lot of times, even when people will say something about me and like I'm big, I'm not much bigger than you or anyone else. Like, you know what I mean? As the guys are something around at work, like, oh, he's big. I'm really not that much bigger than you. Like, but we're viewed differently, right? I kind of talked about with the teens and how they view the kids to be bigger. We're just viewed to be bigger and, then we're crazy. So I think they sometimes like that. And I know for high school, that was a big thing that for a while really turned me off of white women, because when I started going to high school, it was a white high school. I had so many admirers, and I'm like, I thought at first, like, yo, this is dope. But then I was like, it's not even about me. It's about I'm black. That's really all it was. And it really turned me off for a long time to white women when I kind of found out. Or it was like a thing like, I'm going to bring you home because I know it's going to push mommy and daddy's buttons. I know they're going to be upset.
Right.
When I bring you home, like, let's just say it's Jamal, okay? Can your name be Tyrone? Like, because it had to be more ethnic.
I can't. Oh, my word.
That wasn't, my name wasn't really ethnic enough for them, so let's make it, like a Rafiq or something.
Oh my God, not Rafiq.
Really, to really scare them, let's go, and it really kind of messed me up for a while. And I was little in high school as a freshman. I was small, really little. I was like 500 pounds, legit. And they bring me home like some thugs. It was crazy. Like, no, I'm not
I don't want to be a tourist attraction just so that I could make you get extra points. Like, Yeah.
You understand? Like, really, like I was invited to everything. It was amazing. And then, you know, you kind of find out and you kind of hear things and it's like, wow, that's not legit. Like you just, you know, you're from the hood, right? The hood? What? What do you mean? What do they got to do with you? But that's what they wanted to have a real life hood in their house.
Or you're the black friend.
Like we have a real life, we have a real life hood banger thug in our house. We have, no, see again, friends.
Especially if you had that little thing you got going on your head right now.
I was ex-bishop. I was there to be seen. They imported a thug.
And touched on.
This is what we had a real life thug in our house. You know, Sarah brought home a thug. What's wrong with her? You know, that's all it was. It really was very, it was crazy. You know, and the teachers were like, "Were you scared?" Excuse me? Was scared of what? When you lived in the hood. When you lived in the hood, were you scared? And I remember I used to listen. Yes, it was crazy. I was walking over crackheads. I was giving them exactly what they wanted. And we would talk about it every day for the most part. It was very interesting. It was very interesting how they would love our experience, which wasn't my experience because I ain't know really nothing about it. So
right. And definitely being that black experiment, like it's like, okay, why I gotta be your test tube friend to understand certain things? But at the, you know, on the flip side of it, I just wish it was done differently. You know, like I wish it wasn't done as an experiment or some kind of passive, underhanded. Like if you want to understand anything about the culture, just ask people. Because everybody don't have if I could ask a question about culture just to us, and we all would have a different perspective, and we're okay.
Absolutely.
Like it's okay.
Well, I think exposure. So I really believe that kids go to different high schools, visit different high schools because you. Cause I mean, going to a white high school was a culture shock for me. Come from all black area to a white high school, it was definitely a culture shock. It was very different. But I learned a lot of things that I, you know, missed or things you heard, and
it was real then, right?
it wasn't. Like you learned some things weren't really true that you may have thought about white people, and you learned some things you didn't know that are true about white people. You know that you didn't think. It was just some things that I learned by being in that space. But I think it helped me later in life because I was exposed to different things. Right, I was exposed, so I learned how to code switch better,
real early.
Because I see you're there, you see what works, you see what doesn't work, and then I had to learn how to code switch back because when I went to the white school, I didn't go back to the hood for a while. So when I went back to the hood, they were like, "Yo, you're a white boy now." So now I had no home, nowhere, nobody liked me. I was out on the outside of everything.
Outlier.
Like you talk different now. You act different because you know you definitely pick up mannerisms and things of that nature from where you're at. And I was there for so now I'm talking differently, and I don't think I'm talking differently. I think I'm talking the same. And they're like, "You're not. You sound white." And I had a little white boy cowboy tie on. Like, what is that? What are you doing? This is how we dress. No, it's not.
That's a part of the download, though.
About dress, yeah.
It's a part of the download because I always say, you know, born and raised in Chicago area, not, you know, I'll be honest, Chicago area. And then I went to the DMV area, and that was definitely a culture shock because people who look like us had different dialect because they weren't African American. They represented a whole diaspora of people. But to me, coming from the Italian, Hispanic, and Black community, you know, it was like, okay, wait, hold it, pause. So when I went back from the DMV area back to Chicago, I got the same thing that you just described, Daryl. Like, you talk different, you act different. I'm talking the same way. So then coming into Pennsylvania for the lifetime that I've been here, it's like, they like, okay, we know you're not from Philly, but we can't really tell where you from. But if I go back home to the Chicago area, they're like, okay, you don't sound, and I'm like, I listen to them and I'm like, I don't sound nothing like y'all. Like, I don't know what language y'all talking, because, or maybe I just wasn't allowed to talk that way. I don't know. But it's just like, as you move, you end up grabbing different things. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. I keep using that word tonight. Weird, isn't it?
I just get your I talk country. Like, I don't know. That's what I get.
I think helped me and when I but it's funny because when I go back you know, to we'll say the hood, some of the girls actually liked me more because I talked over it. You know, they liked I had little, I was different. You know, I was like that he must be smart because he sounds like white people. So it actually helped me. It helped me get some. Hello there, how are you doing?
That's when you learn to laugh at.
Yeah, I had to give the full laugh. Oh yes, very nice to meet you. And, you know, they wanted me to meet their parents and things of that nature, and parents really liked us because we you know, we talked a little different than what they were used to, and so the parents were like, yo, you know, stay with them, they're good. We weren't good, but the parents.
Right.
And I think just the whole talking I would get, they was like, your kids are so well spoken. Why they don't sound like you? I say, because they not from where I'm from.
Right.
Don't say my kid is well spoken. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cuss you out.
I don't like that. But they were like, well, you live. They were like, do you live in the county? I said, I live in North Philly. Like just certain things. And your kids talk, your kids speak, your kids will, because I don't play that. That ain't got nothing to do. So I just think it was
especially Nicholas.
Yes,
that's my buddy.
That's just he's always spoken like that. My kids nothing like me. So I think that's just the assumption or the perception is just going into different relationships and spaces, especially when it comes to other parents. They just be like, so when they actually meet me, like they know my kids, when they meet me, they're like, you're different than your husband and the rest.
Right.
And I speak different. It just is a different world, definitely. I'm okay with it though.
I know being at the HBCU life, like that was on purpose and in purpose on why I chose the HBCU and in the one that I went to as well. But by the senior year, I was ready to be back into a mixed situation. I was ready to go back into a mixed situation. It's nothing about the institution. It was just the experience that I was learning about us that I wouldn't have learned anywhere else. So I appreciate it 1,000,000%. But then, you know, it's just life. Huh? What'd you say?
No, I was agreeing. I said, yeah, you're right.
Yes, it's like I got the experience was, I wouldn't trade the experience for anything, like whatsoever. And like even to the point now when somebody says, well, did you anything that I buy, like I just recently had some photos done and like a photo shoot, and they were like, well, did you go to a Black owned business owner? And they said, oh yeah, right, I forgot who I'm talking to. You always support Black owned businesses. I do, if I can, and that's the choice. Like I definitely do. Like it's no other way for me. But that comes from the intentions of how I've put myself in different situations that I could code switch and be whoever you want me to be, but I'm gonna be myself authentically, like unapologetic.
Amen. My experience was different. I was in a culture shock after doing 3.5 years, but I loved the bowl. I was focused. I got my degree. I went to get what I went to get. Like I did that, but I felt like it was a little bit different because I went to a diverse elementary, middle school, junior high was mostly Black, but there was still some diversity. High school was 99.999% Black. I just remember when I was a sophomore or junior, and the first Catholic Hispanic, because you know Southern Baptist came. This was a public school now. Came to our school. It was a riot. The whole school protested. Came out. in the hallway, wouldn't go to class because we was like, we definitely 99.999. We did have a couple of students who were like half black, half Mexican or half white, but they was black. So we was like, nah, we not getting nobody in here. Like, it was a walkout, whole protest, signs. It was crazy for
over one student.
Over one student, yes, because the way when you first came in there, like, I was unapologetically black and loved it. So I felt like my high school was HBCU because that's how it was ran.
Right.
Because we had HBCUs, like we had other students who went to our school. They went to HBCUs and came back and brought the culture, the band, the music, the administrators. So we was unapologetically black all the way around. Even though we did have a few white teachers, but mostly.
How unapologetically black were white teachers?
But it's a public school. You get hired by the district. But all the students are black. And 80% of the teachers were black. So I'm just saying that it just my experience different. Going from high school to college and then back out and coming to Philly, it was just like a culture shock.
Right.
I think when I landed, I had a panic attack. Like when I landed in the airport, they're coming out, you see all these people. I called my husband. I was dating him at the time. I called him and I was like, can you please come get me because this is too much? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I said, I'm not trying to be funny. This is weird. I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but there's so many black people. He was like, Philly is black. I said, I know it. I've lived here for years, but it was just different. Like it was just in the moment. I felt like
you had a panic attack because there was a lot of black people.
I ain't gonna lie, yes I did, because I wasn't used to being around. Okay, so I'm used to being around us for 4 years, high school. Then I go to where a PWI is only 10 black people. You can count the black people on your hands in the school. We had other types of people, but mostly it was white school. So when you're around there every day, all day, even though I went to a black church every Sunday, went to Bible study, it was all black, but still outside of that, I wasn't around us every day. So I'm glad I came back because I had to get like settled again. It was an experience in my relationships with
reacclimated.
To black people. I just had to get grounded. That's my word I'm looking for.
Your boyfriend was black, went to a black church, but you had to get reacclimated to black people.
Black people are different based on the zip code.
Where that is different. But mind you, I had a long. It's different because
but the color. It wasn't their attitude that was bothering her. It was the color. She said they'd seen a lot of black people. She didn't say how they acted. She didn't say they acted different. She said by seeing a lot of black people,
I wasn't
that
used
gave
to
her a panic attack.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't at the moment. Yeah, I wasn't used
so
to
the ones at church were different, I guess, somehow, and her boyfriend who was black different.
Black, like, so you go into church, you may see about 100, 150. It was a small church. 150 was like a mega church every Sunday. It's still different attitude church. All of that. But then also I had a black boyfriend at the time, but also I didn't see him every day. Saw him once every 3 months.
So you didn't have a boyfriend. Go ahead. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't have a boyfriend, but okay, I'll let it be. You got jokes, but yeah, I just feel as though like Philadelphia was good to come back to in terms of just that whole piece. Because my relationship,
I haven't ever been panic attack to see black people. Unless the party and the fight started, then the shooting might come, so I might have a panic attack then, because I know how we get down. But other than that, I'm good.
How old was I? 21? Yeah, so it's been a while.
A whole while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But I definitely with the buying black and being black, all that good stuff.
I mean, and that comes with pros and cons too, because it's sometimes that, you want to be around diverse communities, and then there's sometimes that you okay with, not being around. Well, being in diverse communities that look different. I know that word diversity is an arbitrary word these days. Yeah. It just you got to know what's going to work best for you. But I think that the colorism comes into play. How you deal with race and racism comes into play. You don't know that you have these biases that you live with on a day-to-day basis. That's part of your download, no matter if you resolve them and cancel them out, or if you still live with them. And sometimes you might have thought you got over something and then you get triggered again. So it's like, how do you stay in regulation that you're not always in a defensive standpoint?
That makes sense.
And that's the thing, like you said, sometimes you don't even know that this is a problem until you return back to Philadelphia to black people and have a hyperventilate.
But I hyperventilate over other stuff too, and that just in the past. And people are like, what? Sometimes you just don't understand until you're in it. But
right.
I will
look at all these people that look like me.
But I will say I have to remind other black people, especially family members, that we're different as black people.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes family, they be like, oh, you can't be friends with them because they don't listen to this music or they don't do this. I'm like, but they black. Why can't I have a black friend that likes different things? Like, it be simple stuff.
Right.
But it's all about.
We got
sometimes
to get away from that.
What you mean? They're not like us.
And
we gotta get rid of that monolithic way of thinking.
Right.
We definitely gotta get rid of that monolithic thinking. And again, we really harm ourselves a lot with the way we think and act a lot of times. And
I agree.
We treat ourselves worse than anyone else. Even like you support black businesses, but I don't want to pay $80 for a T-shirt. Because the price can be crazy sometimes. It's just be ridiculous. Like, come on, man. Like.
You saying overcharged for paying $80 for a T-shirt? That's what you're saying?
Hey, your markup is $300. Then I can go get this anywhere else. Like, come on. I want to support, but I can't afford to support you. Go get finance or support you sometimes. We gotta be better.
We do.
It's your product. You pay for something.
We also have to have a different conversation around how we look at money, because money is a social construct. That controls us in so many different ways, and money really has no value, but we haven't been taught to understand that it's a social construct.
In terms of like, we'll buy the same thing for $300 and won't ask the questions, but then we go for the same product at a black-owned spot. We're like, why am I paying that much?
Right.
This is
yes.
Right.
You'll pay the
other end of it, where we don't want to pay what we would pay somewhere else. We don't want to do that for
automatically trust the others.
Automatically.
Absolutely.
You're born with it. It's in your DNA.
and not even automatically trust. Think it's better because of others.
And it's the same product.
Sometimes we just think it's
same exact
better because
product.
of others. Yeah.
Same made in China product.
Cereal.
Absolutely.
Ingredients.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's how I feel like
and again that
how we value ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, that chain around our brains, we break that chain that they put there, and it's no matter what we want to break that chain and get out of that mental bondage, to change things. I do like to see people standing up for things, and we're starting to kind of push back a lot more. I think that's why we see. I think that's why we see them pushing back as well, because it's uncomfortable for them to push back and fight. So then now they're stepping up. They're carrying patrols and Ken patrols to kind of silence us. I think
because we have more power than we.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not the minority globally. We're the majority. But we've made.
We're not what?
We're not the minority globally. We're the majority, but we've been made to believe that.
Black and brown, yes, absolutely.
But then even by every person who is black and brown is not necessarily in support of the culture that I believe that we're talking about together.
Absolutely.
Right. No.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's where it becomes compromised or confusing in conversations, because you may think that because this person has the promotion or the ability to hire you or to provide whatever support, and they don't do it, then it's like, okay, you interact with them differently because you don't understand the journey and the process to get there, or the fact that they don't recognize that they owe you something, or not necessarily they owe you something, but like that it should just be a different conversation. Like, they don't have to give it to you.
We're not taught to reach back, really. That's not what we're not taught to reach back and pull us up together, right? Once we make it, we should make a space for us to make it together, but we're not that way. We're again, sometimes looking back, it's a lot of trauma there. So I don't want to look back to that trauma. So I just want to keep it like I just want to forget that this happened, and look back to you is reminding myself of that trauma, and I don't want to be reminded of that. So I'm protecting myself kind of by just self-preservation, by moving forward on my own.
Right.
If I can reach back with, reach back like this without looking, I can grab your hand, I'll bring you up. But
right, I don't want nobody to see that I did it, but yeah.
But like just being on the scene, like with different jobs, the different occupations, like we cut at each other, or cut out each other in different spaces.
Oh, absolutely.
Because sometimes we don't want to see us come up either. So I just think in certain spaces.
I think it's not that we don't learn to love each other, really, right? We don't really learn as a community to like and love each other. And we see that every night, where 50, 60 people getting shot and 12 getting killed. Because we don't care enough about each other to say whatever we're dealing with is not as serious. And when we get somewhere, we're more adversarial than we are with anything else. We don't treat other people the way we treat ourselves sometimes. And it's crazy that goes back to our mindset. And we gotta, so we can actually start moving forward when we start to value each other, and stop, kind of like we said with the hair, tearing each other. We tear each other down for the, I don't, and again, I haven't seen it, and I'm not a girl, so I don't know, but I don't see girls talking about, well, look at your weave, and you wearing weave. I don't see that conversation being had, and they've been wearing them forever, right? I only see us really talking about it.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't know if they started it, because they don't really start much of anything. If I saw somebody, one of us doing it.
You're right. That's true.
I know a lot of things that are
done. And the combing situations. Yes, they was doing all of that, and we didn't need that. Our hair was healthy and growing.
Listen, they keep it quiet. You wouldn't even know, like I said, I didn't even know that it was a thing until I found out it was a thing. But I know about us. I know us. I know we're wearing weave and don't wear weaves, and weaves are bad, and your hair. Like, it's everything we do, we have one side who likes the other side who doesn't, and we're very vocal and very, we look down on the other side for whatever it is. Very judgmental, whether it's your clothes or where you go, your church. Everything is so, to us, is so adversarial. And it's not like it's not even like an adversary where we can just talk about it. It's like, oh, girl, your hair ain't, your hair all messed up. Like, I just got braids. So what? Like,
right.
Oh, girl, you bald headed.
A professional shoot that I just did, and somebody said, oh, I like out of all the pictures that they saw, they was like, well, I like your braids. And I'm like, okay, is that a corporate dig because I didn't make sure I had the colonizer hairstyle? I took a risk. I took a risk.
Right.
I mean, they were nice though. They were nice.
Thank you.
Oh, you hear? Oh, you hear? I've heard this. Girl, you need a hot comb, blow dryer, and a flat iron. Like going to somebody,
going back to the hair stuff. Like, it's just too much.
The status of their hair is not good enough, or it doesn't look capped, or it is capped, but it's not the way they would want to see it. Like, because of the texture. Like, just
Yeah, and I think that's where the argument was. That's where the argument was. Thank you, Miss Ruth. Wait till I show y'all the rest of them. Wait till I show you.
Drop them, please.
Let's go.
I am. I'm trying. So, speaking of going, do we have any closing thoughts? Anything, parting gifts that we want to share with our audience that's with us live or catching us on a replay?
Don't hate yourself. Gain some self-love.
Well, we definitely have to find love in ourselves before we find love in someone else, so that we can actually give them what they need. If we're not whole, we can't give anything. And definitely have to adjust our eyes to what beauty is and not look at it through the lens of what we've been taught here, because that's not true beauty. That's not. Not. And again, I know from going through it and to see, if I look at myself way back then and now, it's like, wow, I'm just totally different. What I find to be attractive and what I find to be beautiful and what is attractive to me is so much different. It's so much different now than it was then. But I think like then it was more of a, this is what you should do. This is what you were kind of taught. It wasn't even really what I really meant. Now it's more what I find to be pleasing. Like I accept it. I can allow myself to like what I like now. Like that dark skinned woman, I can. She's beautiful. I can say it without feeling like, oh, I can't really say that out loud. So even if you thought it, because you think something's wrong with it.
True. Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like it's another great week, great sip and chat conversation, talking about real issues that impact us on and in our life, relationships, and everything else that's connected to it. This conversation could have went a lot of different ways, but I think we did good. I don't know what y'all think.
Yeah.
You think we did good?
Yeah, I always do good.
Right.
Yeah, I always do. So.
You said I, not us. He said I, not us. Miss Ruth added her closing thoughts. The bottom line is people will have an opinion about everything. Self-love, self-care, and self-confidence are the necessity to the journey of total happiness. The 50s are great for this. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll keep hearing these stories. I keep hearing these stories about 50, chapter 50. Being in your 50s, but your perspective is different.
Being in your 50s, what?
Your perspective of all of this shenanigan is just different.
In your 50s.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, she said 50 years old. 50 years old plus.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I keep hearing that that's the the new thing.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Yes. That's a loaded laugh. All right. So if there is nothing else, I guess it's time to say peace and thank you. Love and hair grease, and we will see you at the next time Sip and Chat flows your way.
Bye.
Bye. Daryl, you're not gonna say bye? Oh, that's the hood version.
Peace out.
Hugs and love, Ruth. Thank you.
Bye.